Hi, my name is Brandon, and I'm an alcoholic and addict in recovery. A couple of days ago, I posted a video before I went to a bar. I was going to go out to a bar for a party that a friend of mine was having, and I talked about some of the things that I keep in mind when I'm going into situations like that as a recovering alcoholic in order to help me cope with the situation. And I wanted to post a follow-up because as prepared as I thought I was, there were still some things that surprised me, and I still was nowhere near as comfortable as I thought I was going to be in that situation. So I've been sober from alcohol for about almost 5 years now, and I've been sober from pot, which was my other big drug of choice, for about 2 years and a few months. And so since I've gotten sober from alcohol, I've been around alcohol every day. It's kept in my house. My wife is a drinker, and I've been to bars before, but I hadn't been to a party like this since I quit drinking. This was a huge party. The bar was packed, wall to wall people. There was a great band playing. There were people dancing. It was a costume party. Everybody was dressed up. Everywhere you looked, there were people downing shots, waiters carrying big trays of shots around. The bar was open. There was an open bar tab, so as long as you had a wristband, you could drink for free. And it was overwhelming, to say the least. The kind of situation where even in my drinking days, I would have been incredibly overwhelmed, and I would have drunk a lot to cope with those feelings. So one of the things that it came to mind afterwards when I was kind of going back through the emotions that I had and just reflecting on them a little bit, was it is important, and I didn't mention this in my first video, it's important to always have an escape plan when you're going into these situations, to know that you can leave if you need to. Now, in this situation, I didn't think about it much beforehand, but I know that I could have. I mean, it would have been very, very easy for me to leave, to go somewhere else, and then come pick up my wife later if she had wanted to stay with our friends who were there, or I also know that she would have come with me if I really needed that. So I don't think an escape plan would have been an issue, but having that is really important. Knowing that you're able to leave if you really need to. I think that's some advice that I would give anybody going into that situation. The other thing that I wasn't prepared for was that the thoughts and the emotions that would kick in being back in this situation. One of the things that stands out the most is at one point, I was drinking Topo Chico, sparkling water, and I had run out, and I went to the bar to get another one, and just the act of going to the bar and standing at the bar and, kind of jostling through the crowd and waiting for the waitress or the bartender to look at me and take my order, and just that whole exchange brought up all these feelings that I hadn't had in years and years, because I haven't done that. And I don't know how to explain it except to say, I felt like I should be getting a beer at that point, because that's what I've always done in that situation. And it just went to show that when we're back in those situations that we've been in before, we have kind of a muscle memory, and those kinds of emotions and feelings can kick back in. One of the tools that I use to deal with those kind of situations when they come up is I always follow the drink. And so another way that people put that is play the tape forward. So I'll think, hey, if I were to have a drink tonight, that would turn into 20 drinks, which would turn into an absolutely terrible morning the next morning. And then blah, 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 blah. Go on from there. And usually that's enough for me to just gently push aside any emotions that I'm feeling about, oh, does a drink sound good in this situation, that kind of thing. And then the other thing that I was not prepared for was just the social aspect of it, the overwhelming social aspect of being in a crowded situation like that, being with so many people and not having that liquid courage with me. I wasn't prepared for that at all. And so that's the other thing that I would say is, if you're ever in that situation, give yourself a little bit of a break, give yourself some space. And don't expect, if you used to be the life of the party, for example, if you used to feel comfortable going up and talking to any person in the room, don't expect to necessarily be able to do that again. Or at least right at the beginning, because in this particular situation, I got really overwhelmed and I didn't feel comfortable talking to a lot of people. I kind of sat quietly, was with my friends who I felt comfortable with, and I stayed there. I didn't do a lot of the kinds of things that I might have done in my party days, and that's okay. So it was an interesting time. It was a good time. I got to see some old friends, but it was a reminder of, when I go into these situations that are so similar to drinking situations I was in the past, there's always all these tools that I got to keep in mind to help me stay on the right track and not get sucked into it. Because I can easily see how being in that situation, if I were not in a better place, I could easily get sucked right back into drinking in a situation like that. So that's it for today. I'll be back later with more. Have a good one.